I'm going to hand over to Coenie, who's going to talk through some of the principles and requirements that have come into Harmonia, which is a lab. So Harmonia Lab was started by a group of banks within the Hyperledger Foundation to start putting down some of these principles and pain points and requirements. And then we'll talk about some of the reference implementations that we've started to create to help cross-chain interop. So over to you, Coenie.
Cool. Hi, thanks, Pete. All right, so as Pete briefly mentioned, I'll quickly mention, we'll talk about some principles that we use to guide how we do both like community involvement as well as some of our products that really enables banks to adopt this new ecosystem, really helps them along the path. So we've always been sort of anchored in a production implementation philosophy where we make sure that even our proof of concepts, we think of, how will this work in a production setting? So we always need to be answering the questions of, who will be running which component, how will we secure this, which APIs we do need to provide, all of that, is from the get-go, our thinking past is passed into what we build. So our products are also scoped to enable sort of a minimum flow, so that banks can much easier adopt, switch completely across to this sort of new ecosystem, if that makes sense. And then we also ensure that we use distributed ledger technology that has been widely adopted, like Ethereum, as well as then adhere to relevant standard bodies and contribute where we can to those standard bodies, especially in the interop field. And we've also adopted a pattern where we allow, our thinking is native on-chain assets and participants, not just a view of getting legacy things on chain, but they're sort of first-class citizens on our system. So, or that's how we think, and that's really sort of the principles that we use to guide our development of our products. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so then let's look at, so those are some principles or guidelines. How do we, what are our requirements for then doing or in this sort of space now that's a little bit more research, in terms of interoping between two different systems. So fortunately, we have rule books in place that govern effectively how the participants, or what they can do, what they can't do, and as well as consequences, and those also help inform a legal basis, i.e., some legal recourse if stuff goes wrong. We also our systems typically work in an environment where participants have wallets or accounts on both ledgers. So, i.e., if you're doing something from a dollar-based blockchain to a pound-based blockchain, you'd have accounts on both. And then what we leverage is effectively a upstream, like for example in the example Pete mentioned of Fintium, there'll be a trading venue and there will be a unique ID that will come from the trading venue that will allow you to tie together this trade across the two distributed systems. And then effectively what we require, or what we enforce rather, is to have both parties earmark their funds or assets on both sides before the trade goes through. And then once the trade has gone through, we also said that we have settlement finality that is deterministic, i.e. either both legs go through or both don't. There can't be a time component or a timeout component that adds uncertainty to what the outcome will be. And then we also, since we're dealing sometimes with Ethereum as well as Corda or some other systems, we say that each system needs to be able to generate their own proofs, and we need to be able to then effectively tell another system how to verify or how to understand those proofs. And these proofs need to be decentralized in the sense of each party is responsible for them. That just means that there's no sort of third party involved. There's no centralized piece that is in between, the two participants wanting to execute the trade, other than the blockchain networks themselves that are running.